In Lviv this morning, temporary shelters housing streams of people making their way to that city in the west before they head on to cross a border out of Ukraine. According to the UN, more than 2 million people have left the country now by car, bus or train, taking whatever they can carry and trying to navigate Russian shelling along the way. An exodus that we have not seen since the Second World War. And as David Common was saying, what is so extraordinary is the speed at which this is happening. In Lviv this morning, we find reporter Jessica Golloher. And if you are watching our coverage of Russia's war on Ukraine, Jessica had been in the capital, preparing to leave, now in Lviv, having made that journey safely. I'm happy to see, Jessica, that you're there and in good shape. Tell us about that journey.
The journey, quite frankly, was one of the most harrowing of my entire life, and I wasn't the only one. Essentially, the first night wasn't too difficult, but we left after curfew, so that really helped us get through the roadblocks and the checkpoints quickly. The second day, it was a nightmare. The roads were jam-packed. I've never seen so many cars in my entire life. Very slow moving. Some cars were doing what my driver was doing, which was essentially driving in the wrong direction in order to beat the lines, trying to get to safety. So we have a slow moving line on one side, and then on the other side, we'd see tanks coming towards us, buses full of people trying to flee, also supplies coming in. At one point, we got into a car accident. We were not the only one also to get into a car accident. We saw a tank slide off the road, in addition to a police car that was essentially smashed in half. There were a lot of police that were out trying to control the crowds. There had been a little ice the night before, and it was just mayhem. So this police car essentially had been hit from the side, and half of it was missing. Along the routes, there was barely any gas. You would see signs that would say 000, essentially no gas. We waited in line for about, 30, 45 minutes. We got to the gas pump and they put out a sign in a very Soviet fashion that said technical break. We waited about 30 minutes more. The gentleman came out and said, sorry, no gas. This was very common along the route. And one thing that I will never forget in my entire life was people were putting signs in the windows of their vans, of their cars, and also using masking tape. And they wrote "Дети," which is essentially children, hoping that the Russians wouldn't target them. Essentially, people still on the road trying to make it, the journey lasting anywhere from 24 hours to 48 hours.
That is just incredible. Jessica, thank you for telling us about it. These stories are just harrowing for civilians and for reporters covering them. Now, you haven't been in Lviv for that long, but what about first impressions? What are you seeing around you now?
I am seeing people. I mean, it's a completely different situation here. People feel like it's much more safe. We haven't had any air raid sirens since I've been here. That's a plus. Restaurants are open. Apothekas are open. There is a feeling of we're safe, which is a complete contrast to Kyiv. Kyiv, you heard the air raid sirens nonstop, the shelling nonstop. If you saw people out, they were running to see if they couldn't get something from the grocery store or the apotheka, A, if they could find one open, and B, if they could find supplies. The main fear here is the same thing that's going to happen here that has been happening across Russia. Also, I did mention that this is being used as essentially a stop-off point. People feel like Lviv is safe and that they are going to go somewhere else, for instance, to the Polish border, which is a lot longer wait than other borders, for example, like Romania or Moldova. People are trying to go there as well. As for now, there is literally not one hotel room in the city. I have been looking in case I have to move. It is jam-packed. They say they are at 100% due to the refugees and people trying to flee the conflict from all over Ukraine.
Jessica, thank you for this. We will look forward to speaking with you again as you bring us a vivid reporting now in Lviv.